everybody. Welcome to the SyFy Sistas podcast, where we give you our point of view. We're proud members of the Trek Geek Podcast Network, and we're so excited to bring this show to you today. I'm Tamia Harper, and I'm joined by my sisters here, Yvette Blackman-Tom.
Hello.
Fran T.
How y'all doing?
And Sabrina Wood.
Whoop, whoop.
And not only am I joined by my sisters today, I'm joined by a really special guest, because today we're going to be talking about and celebrating the amazing B'Elanna Torres, that groundbreaking half Klingon, half human chief engineer from Star Trek Voyager, played by the amazing Roxanne Dawson, whom we love. Shout out to Roxanne Dawson.
Yay.
Because why, Sabrina? We know you're listening.
Roxanne.
Roxanne.
And so
We are not going on The Voice. I'll tell you that right now.
no,
Go ahead.
None of us are quitting our day jobs.
Don't
that's
do
for
that.
sure. So our guest is an amazing superhero by day and a super fan by night. And we're so excited. She's an authority on B'Elanna Torres and all things Voyager. And we have been lucky enough to nab her for our show. I give you the one, the only, Dr. Luz.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I am not worthy of that introduction. Thank you so much. So I'm super, super excited, happy, humbled, and honored to be here with you guys. So I'll just give a little bit of an intro into my Trek life and past. So I think many people have started out with the original series. So I started out with catching reruns with my mom and my uncle, and we would watch it together. That's my mom and my uncle's favorite Star Trek. And so then I think, excuse me, then Voyager came along during my, I like to call them my formative years. The ones that have imprinted a lot of values that I still carry today. So Voyager came around when I was 13, and I was hooked. I loved everything about the premise of Voyager. And I would just say that, you know, Janeway along with B'Elanna kept me hooked on that show.
Yeah, B'Elanna is amazing. And you know, and I get you. When I was a DS9 fan myself, but when Voyager came on, I was so excited to see a woman in the chair that I watched it every week anyway, you know.
Yeah.
But out of all the characters on that show, I related to B'Elanna the most, for sure.
I agree. Same here, obviously. I think we really got to see her and Janeway have a moment, and like even just starting off on the third episode of season 1, and she, you know, when she became the chief engineer, and just those interactions and her not backing down, and that in and of itself was kind of I'm trying to find the word, but like groundbreaking, I guess, in a way, you know, and the fact that like even Chakotay recommended her for the position, and her not being, you know, like a fellow male coworker acknowledging her strengths and saying, hey, look, you can't go wrong with this person. She's the one you want. And so just having her be in that position where she is in a field of STEM, math, engineering, and she's in charge. Like you can't run that ship without a chief engineer. So.
That's right. You know, and it's amazing that they showed that her growth, that she didn't start as the chief, you know, and then became the chief. So, you know, I want to ask, we know that she's your favorite, and you're sitting there in this really cool B'Elanna Torres t-shirt that now that I want, that I know this, I need in my closet. I want to ask the rest of the sisters, how does B'Elanna, what are your feelings on B'Elanna, and how does she rank in your list of characters? I'm going to start with Sabrina.
Well, I love B'Elanna because I wanted to be an engineer. I thought I was going to be an engineer when I was coming up. I was physics engineering when I started college, but quickly dropped out. But now I'm an accountant. I can still count the numbers, but I just couldn't, figure out that warp stuff. Anyway, B'Elanna I love because she was so smart, and I really love Parallax. That's the one that I think you're talking about.
Yes.
And I love the fact that, she was like so young and she was brash. She was coming from the Marquis, and they couldn't deny how smart she was. And she was just so smart all the way through. I love smart women. Let's just put it that way.
I'm gonna mention something because that's one of the things I really love about her is just her intelligence and the fact that they wrote her as an intelligent character.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the way through. Fran, what about you? You got some B'Elanna thoughts, introductory B'Elanna thoughts for us?
I just love the fact that they, had the foresight to make her the chief engineer, make the character the chief engineer on that ship, and that was groundbreaking because, we had a woman in the chair for the first time. And then you're going to turn around and do the chief engineer as a woman too. So I thought that was amazing. So I looked at it and just, I'm looking at this show, and because those were two characters that really resonated with me from the beginning. When Chakotay was telling Janeway, I want to suggest B'Elanna Torres for the chief engineer. And she was like, what? You who? And, when they met, I didn't know what episode was it, the third episode, and they met and they talked.
Parallax.
And it was thank you. I thought it was a mentor relationship, motherly relation, when it started off because, Janeway is also smart, and I'm glad she took Chakotay's, advice. And I love the fact that she stayed, but her character arc really, really changed and grew because, she started off, she never lost her fierceness, but Tom, I think, kind of got to her, and her character arc just went, ooh.
It goes Miss Romance. We know Fran loves the romance.
I love the romance because they were so good together.
They were so cute.
They were, especially, okay, this is not romantic, this is kind of hot, but when she got bit by the guy with the going through the pond part thing.
Oh, blood fever.
Oh, thank you.
I love that one.
Thank you. And Tom was such a gentleman, he didn't take advantage of it. But I loved it.
Wow.
I like
he was getting ready to.
I know, but
he was like, dang. Why?
So, yeah. I love the character. I love the character. First time we had seen, it's sounding redundant now, but first time I remember seeing a chief engineer that was a woman.
And Latina. I mean, even though she's supposed to be half Klingon, but she is representing the Latinas, which we never saw.
No.
Never, ever.
Right?
She was Torres, yes.
That's why I think I was just like, Torres? My maiden name is Martinez. So I was like, she's my people.
Yeah. Right?
I was like, she never really, they didn't explore that too much on the show because I think they which is fine, they focused more on her Klingon half, which worked anyway, for the show, but it was still there. Just the fact that her name, because a person's name means so much, has so much power. And so just the fact that they have to say her name so much, it kind of still made that connection for me as a girl watching that show.
Absolutely.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that because that always disappointed me that they didn't go a little bit more into it. But okay, we just go say my name.
Yeah.
We only saw her dad once. We only saw the dad character, I think, once.
We saw him only once.
And that
trip and all that.
And
Lineages.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a great episode. That was a fantastic episode because that really, before we get there, I just want to go back
to find out why he's dead. why Yvette likes B'Elanna.
Exactly. I want to circle back to Yvette and find out her B'Elanna thoughts and where B'Elanna ranks in her list of characters.
I said this before in the last one. I like B'Elanna because of she's, like Sabrina says, she's smart, and I love the portrayal of a smart woman. And Voyager had a lot of smart women. Once they got rid of Kes.
Right.
Thank God. So I do enjoy B'Elanna's character because she is Latina. Because I grew up in a very Black, Puerto Rican, and Italian neighborhood when I was growing up. So those were my people also. So exactly. when I heard her last name and I knew who she was, it was like, oh, this is cool, you know. And I was a grown woman when Voyager came out, but Voyager started, as I said before, started in 95 when I had my first child. So I was nursing my child as Voyager was premiering. So I would watch it and nurse her. So the fact that all these smart women were on the show, I know had an effect on the way I raised my children, because all my children are in STEM. They're all beautiful, but I make sure that the smart was first. So, and I know Voyager has a lot to do with that, because, like, you know, when you see it, you're like, even as an adult, it made an impression on me. I wasn't a child. I was an adult, an older adult. I had my children when I got older. So it still made an impression on how to, I guess, even how to raise my children. So I do always count B'Elanna and Janeway in that. B'Elanna's always in that, because she's still, even though I'm not Latina, she still looked more like me than Janeway did. So, you know, I definitely always, that's why I love B'Elanna, because she's smart, she's fierce, she's the Latina I know. When I grew up, that's, you know, Puerto Rican women are no joke, you know, so, and those are always my homegirls. So, you know, I just felt like, oh, yeah, I could get with her. Me and her could be cool. So, yeah,
exactly.
That's why I like her.
Yeah. Yeah, she's amazing. She's amazing. And so I'm going to go back to what we were talking about. Like, I mean, she is a really complex character, though, you know, and that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about how they wrote her. After they didn't write her as just one note, right? She wasn't always angry, you know, like she didn't play like, you know, and as a Black woman, I'm forever seeing the angry Black woman trope all around me, right? And she didn't play like the angry Latina woman, you know, it wasn't that trope. You know, she had so many layers, you know, she was fiercely loyal. You know, she was a big romantic and softie underneath all of that. You know, once Tom was able to chip through that ice, you know, like we found out. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of what drew me to her. You know, like you want to get to know this person, and then you kind of want to know, well, she always had extremely high standards, right? For herself, for those who are around her, for those that she lets get close to her. And so you kind of wonder, well, what is like what's beneath that wall, or what is inside that you know are keeping to yourself. And that's what Tom was able to figure out, right? But she didn't give it up right away. That she made him work.
Yeah.
Right? Which
he had to grow up a little before he was going to say, because he was going to be right with B'Elanna. She was like, he could be and, you know, I hate to say this, but, you know, sometimes, you know, what you see is what you get. But Tom did expand.
He did. He also had a lot of character growth. So she waited until he proved himself worthy.
Well, you know, they were dying in space.
Yeah,
right?
Finally, running out of oxygen.
Finally, right? But what I was also going to say was like, yeah, so she has all of those layers, like you said, you know, and so until you get to that core, you don't get to see that soft, romantic, vulnerable side of
Insecure.
her. She's extremely vulnerable deep inside, right? So that's why she has all these high standards for who she lets get close to her. And it was that complexity that it makes her an amazing character. I was reading in that the 25th, and I think it's the 25th anniversary Voyager book where they interviewed everybody, the cast and crew, that I think Roxanne put it really, she said a quote about B'Elanna, and she says that I'm not going to get it word for word, but the point of it is that she kind of said, like, yeah, she's judging you, but only because she's judging herself a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and so you have to meet, you know, she's holding you to her standards. So that's, you know, she's able to judge you because she's judging herself. And, you know, in that sense, and sort of, it's not really hypocritical in the sense, you know, like she's holding herself to those extremely high standards as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's kind of just what, you know, she has such strong conviction, you know, and then she stands by them. Kind of like, you remember that episode, Dreadnought?
I love it.
The one where she built that Maquis, when she was with the Maquis, she took that Cardassian ship and like turned it on and, you know, reversed it so that it would attack the Cardassian ships.
Favorite B'Elanna episode.
It's amazing, right? And that episode, it was early on. I think it was season 2.
Yeah, it was an early episode.
Right, but even there you can see her conviction, and she's just like, you know, this is my responsibility. I did this. I need to fix it.
She was so proud of herself for having made this thing that was so tough to turn off, but only she could turn it off because it was that bad, because I did it, okay? I made this thing so tough. You can't even turn this mess off. I was like, B'Elanna, what's the question? Your strength is your downfall, girl.
Yeah. She was like, dang. She even, like, the machine was like, you're telling me we're in the Delta Quadrant. This is a trick. This is not B'Elanna Torres. B'Elanna Torres wouldn't be in the Delta Quadrant.
Right.
Damn it. I made it too smart. That's a classic example I love.
No, what I loved about that episode, and we talked about it before, but my favorite is when Janeway and B'Elanna start techno-babbling to each other, and you see two smart women going at it.
That was in that episode with the robots, that were their creators.
Prototype or something.
The prototype, yes, that's the one.
Yes, that was another good one.
Yeah, I love that episode. You know, and it shows her to be so excited by what she's doing in life, happy with what she's doing, and inquisitive and persistent, you know, in finding the answer.
She doesn't give up.
To her detriment, but okay. Yeah, but Janeway, I think even when we go back to Parallax, when she finally not only just listened to Chakotay, it was when she saw how smart B'Elanna was, and she was just riffing on it, you know? They were just going at it, and that little thing, it started right there, and she was like, okay, you could be the chief engineer, even though she'd already broken that other man's nose. And...
When she almost broke, put some bone stuff in his cranium, you know, because he, you know, I'm like, okay, B'Elanna, I like you. Oh, you know, I like you. You know, she said, you know, in other words, I could have killed him, but I didn't. I kind of held back, you know.
She said,
you know, so yeah.
That's true. She could have.
Yeah, she could have.
He was a Miles. He was a Miles O'Brien wannabe, anyway.
Carrie? The one that she
Carrie. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He did remind me of O'Brien.
Yeah, kind of
like a faux O'Brien.
A faux O'Brien.
Listen, when they got him at the end.
Yeah, he had the curly hair and everything, but you know, he was no Miles O'Brien. We knew Miles O'Brien. He was no Miles O'Brien. Okay.
All right.
Well, so Carrie was all right. Carrie was all right. He was, you know, he just was not. He just wasn't B'Elanna. That's all. And I love that he admitted it, and that, you know, he came. That was the one thing I loved about Voyager, that all the men eventually they went right along with it. They were just not going to say, no, I'm going to keep doing this and just be stupid. They were like, no, the women are smarter, and let's just roll with it. And, you know, Tom, Chakotay, you know, everybody was just give it to him. Let's not even argue.
And I think I want to give a shout out to Jerry Taylor, that
oh yeah,
the producer who helped create this show, because I liked it from the time when they said, which I still don't understand, why they address women officers as sirs. And Janeway told them from the beginning that she was not a sir. You either say yes, Captain, or yes, ma'am to me. But they still do it on other shows, but they didn't do it on Voyager. So I'm like,
I remember
okay.
that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to those writers.
That's right.
That's right. Creators.
Is that true, Yvette? Is that what really happens? Sir versus ma'am in the military?
No. But I think it's moving towards that way.
So it's
genderless. I don't think it's going to be sir. I think you're just going to say the person's rank.
Right.
Because I think it's going to try to be, we're trying to move into it. Stop identifying people as gender type thing. I don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon, but eventually it'll have to. But I don't think it's going to be sir. I think you just call people by their rank.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
sir and ma'am was easy because you didn't have to, if you couldn't see it, everybody's a sir or a ma'am if you can't see the rank, And everybody's a sergeant if you don't see everybody's a sergeant. Everybody's ma'am, yes ma'am, or yes sir when you see somebody in a uniform, until you can really see what their rank says, because everybody should know the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think eventually it'll go to something like that. Yeah.
But I like the fact that Janeway told them she was not a sir.
Well, that was her preference.
That. But I thought it was something because they never addressed it. That was the only time they addressed it. Was when she said she was not a sir. And I think it was in like the first or second episode. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was caretaker, definitely.
Yeah.
It was the Paris. Paris was having issues. He didn't know what to call her or whatever. Tom starting up right from the very get-go.
Okay.
But then he was the one who always said, yes, ma'am. That's his classic thing. That's
right.
Man.
That's right. That's right. But I want to know what you think is B'Elanna's greatest character trait asset, and what do you think is her greatest liability?
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, that's a challenge. I do think that her greatest asset is her. I think I said it already, but is her conviction. The fact that she has very strong opinions and she stands by them. Like I remember there was an episode. I'm not going to remember the name, but it was one where the captain was like, how long will it be? Or I need these, engines, whatever, in 4 hours. And she's like, no, I can get it by tomorrow. And then the captain was like, well, are you sure something? And B'Elanna's like, I don't exaggerate. If I tell you it's tomorrow, it's tomorrow. Like she was like, I know what I'm doing. I know how long it's going to take. I'm not messing around. Just, she has strong values. She stands by them and she follows through.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's what it's kind of like. Yeah. You know what? I just made a little connection in my brain. It's kind of like someone's word and honor, right? Like you can count on her.
Yeah.
You can count on what she tells you. And her greatest weakness, I think, would be kind of her pride, or her. I don't know that I would say, maybe pride is not the right word, but her fear to come across as weak or vulnerable, because I think that prevents her from maybe making more connections and relationships that she probably could have and further develop, because she was scared of getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's her greatest weakness.
That's good. Sabrina, what about you?
I think I'm going to go with what you were saying, though, Luz. I think, her greatest asset, I think, is, again, her passion. She is very passionate about what she's doing, about people she loves, about, what's happening. But I think it's almost the same thing is to her detriment too. She's overly. Sometimes she can't control it. She can't stop it. But like you were saying, pride. We will go back to Prototype. It was, she was just so proud. She wanted to make that thing turn on, and she was just so gonna do it, even though people were warning her not to do it. But she just wanted to be able to see if she could do it, and it was that pride that got her. So she was always sort of like, oh, I could get this. I could fix this. I can handle this. I can do it. And, sometimes she can't. And she learns a real hard way that she can't do it. Like Day of Honor, that was a really interesting one. She was going through some stuff there. But what she could withstand, she almost killed herself, But anyway, that's what I think.
You mean Extreme Risk?
Extreme Risk, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Extreme Risk.
Yes.
Wow, that was an
exactly.
episode.
Again. I mean, that has a lot of different undertones too. But again, that ties to the not being vulnerable. She doesn't want to reach out to help. And I mean, I can understand that. We all want to have this, maybe outer appearance that we want to maintain, especially with people who maybe you would say are not one of your inner circle. So I get that, but I feel like that sometimes is, like we say, it can be to your detriment.
Yeah. Yvette, what about you? You got thoughts?
I think my favorite thing about B'Elanna, her best character trait is the fact that she's Klingon, I think. All those things that you guys said about honor and, how she holds herself to the higher that's Klingon stuff. Yeah. Or at least what Worf says Klingons are. So I think she's very Klingon without even realizing that she is very Klingon. And I like that dynamic of her, the way they wrote that. Unfortunately, her greatest liability is her insecurity, which is pretty much what you all were saying. But I always think about the fact that B'Elanna was a great student at Starfleet Academy, and she decided she wasn't good enough, or she decided that they were talking about her because she was half human, half Klingon. I know sometimes I get the books and the series mixed up, so I can't remember if they talked about how she was a great sprinter. She was a great athlete at Starfleet Academy, and she was, she left all those things because of the things in her mind, her insecurities. There were professors who didn't want her to leave that she thought hated her, and they were okay with the challenge. She just didn't get it, Yep. So, and I think that just makes they fleshed out her character so well, and I don't think a lot of people understand how well they did that. So, I like that. I like the fact that they did that for her character.
Yeah. I will shout out to Roxanne, because in the book, I think she went in the 25th anniversary Voyager book.
Okay. Uh-huh.
They have a section. Each actor has a section to talk about their character, and she goes into how she would have encounters with the writers, and she would say, I really want this to flow. Like she was a really big backer for Extreme Risk. So I think she played more of a role than maybe some of the other actors did.
That early director was coming out. And
and how their character was formed. So shout out to her. Thank you, Fran. Thank you.
Fran, what are your thoughts on her strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I think her strength, of course, that she was smart and she was fierce. However, opposite from Yvette, I think that she did not embrace her Klingonness that much. I thought there was some self-hate going on because of the Klingonness. I really do. I don't think she really, wholeheartedly embraced it. With the episode when they separated them with those Badalion people, they separated. So yes, thank you. And also all the way into the 7th season, she wanted to change the child. Remember, she wanted to take all the Klingon out of her baby. And she wanted the baby to be Yes, and she wanted the baby to be fully human and not. So I think that was her. I think she had the character had some self-hate going on in there, because when she wanted to change that baby, I'm like, come on, I thought it was sad too. I'm like, you haven't embraced that part. But I thought she was ashamed of her Klingonness, although she had all the attributes. Well, what Walk would say, the attributes of being a Klingon.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. I didn't like that. I didn't like that about her. I didn't like that about the character.
I mean, I would agree with you. I mean, I think that there's and that's actually what part of my answer was going to be. I think that for me, one of her greatest strengths is her fearlessness, and not just in the typical way, like she's not afraid to get in a fight. But what I mean is like she has fearless thinking and she's fearless in her thought and therefore in what she attempts to do in this world. She doesn't think this might not succeed, and it doesn't hold her, and therefore it holds her back. Like she thinks like, oh, there's a possibility over here. Let's try this. Like she just jumps in. She just jumps in and tries to get to the solution and figure it out, which I love. She doesn't get stopped by her fear. But I was going to say that I think that, along that other part of that insecurity that we've all talked about, the underpinning of that is the self-hatred, and that stems like right from her childhood. And that when we were talking about watching Lineage, and we were talking about watching Lineage and seeing her dad in those hurtful words that her dad said to her, all these years later, she's still that little girl inside, whose daddy basically told her that, she was too, like, he didn't want to be around her. Of course you're going to carry that, you're going to carry that, and that wound is going to fester in so many ways. And of course she's going to start to hate the thing that and come to resent and hate the thing that he couldn't deal with her, which was her Klingon heritage, and I think it was really interesting. Like, do you think that the writers were consciously trying to talk about growing up in these different cultures, or like, what I'm saying? Like, do you think they had an agenda that they were executing through B'Elanna's character? Because that's kind of how I see it, because they touch on all of these things, and that self-hate, that's so powerful. And when you get to that episode with what's it called, where she wants to change her baby,
Lineage.
That is the same episode. Sorry, it's Lineage. I forgot she's doing the flashbacks throughout the episode. That episode was so powerful, and I heard some other podcasters talking about this episode, and of course they were, cisgendered white males, right, who have never been other in their lives, that did not see what was they couldn't see her point of view, and I get that, I mean, I understand how they wouldn't understand it, but they've never been in a position where people are consistently telling them that what they are is less than, what they are is evil, what they are is bad, and so they couldn't understand how she could do that to her child, right? And I'm not condoning it either. I'm just saying that I understand the place of where that came from, because one of the things that I had to learn to overcome throughout my life was not hating myself, because growing up in a majority white neighborhood and going to majority white schools, everything about me was wrong to them. And I was constantly told that there was something bad about me or something wrong with me. And then I saw it was reinforced on the news. Black people are the one who do crimes, right? If a crime happened and it was a white person doing it, they would never call out his race, right? If a crime happened and a black person perpetrated, you always knew that it was a black person, and that's just how I was raised. And to be and so that's something that you have to consciously fight against, that infiltrating and festering in your life, not believing the hype.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
I think that lineage scene where they have the flashback where the cousins are all supposed to be playing, and I think it was really important the way they wrote that scene, because it wasn't that the boy who was her cousin, he put the worm on her sandwich, and he said, "Oh, Klingons like to eat raw food," or something like that. Yeah, he was making a joke. He thought it was funny. And he's not even realizing that it hurt her to the core. And I think that was really cool that they didn't make him this boy that was obviously mean and nasty to her. They made him a boy that was making a joke, thinking he's funny, but not seeing that this is really hurting her. And like, why are you doing this? You're being a real jerk. And and then he even looked like he didn't realize that it was hurting her that bad. But, it's something that you do all the time, every day. You think it's funny, you think you're a joke, but you don't get that you're a pain in the ass.
Oh, that episode. Say it again.
I said, ask a couple of people I come in contact with. I had a coworker actually call me a girl. Ooh. We're not going to go into what happened, but he didn't call me a girl anymore. And I was always Miss Fran from then on, from what I told him.
There you go.
Well, that episode, I'm not, that's now that you bring it up, I never really thought about whether or not the writers were conscious about what they were doing. I'd have to go back and, I'm curious to see, go back and see if there was a specific writer for most of the
Renee. What's his name? Renee Echeverria? Yeah, I think he knew. Yeah, I think he knew.
He had to know, but that episode hits on so many levels. I was telling Mia that I don't know if I mentioned it before, but literally the coincidences between B'Elanna's life and my life are kind of scary just because there's so many. And that's another reason why throughout the years of Voyager, I was like, I grew up with just me and my mom.
Okay.
And then my grandmother and my aunt. So we were all women together. And then I'm not of mixed heritage in the sense that both of my parents are Dominican, but I grew up in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, which I didn't really fit. It was kind of almost the opposite of you, Camille, because most of my neighbors were African American, and so I didn't fit. I was kind of the other in that sense. But then you have also the dichotomy of being a child of immigrants, where you're not really American, but you're not really, from the country where your parents are from. So there's just a lot of identity questions that you could have. And I feel like Lineage really hit on that, because whereas, like I said, I didn't have the two different heritages, you could kind of understand where I understood sort of where B'Elanna was heading, where she was kind of like, I have these two sides of me, and I don't really fit in either one. I'm in a middle. And then I started asking myself also, do we think that B'Elanna truly believed what she told the doctor? Because the reason she told the doctor that she wanted to take out the Klingon DNA was for medical reasons, preventative medical reasons, right? The same way you would take out your appendix, the same way you do genetic modification to fix the curvature. And so then I was rewatching it and thinking about it, and I was like, does she really believe that? Or that's just the lie she's telling them, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking, to get them to be able to go with it. But there's just so many things in that episode. And then I think the thing that hit the nail on the coffin was the fact that her father couldn't handle her mother's Klingonness, right?
Right.
And then that was it. Because then she says, when she's having her breakthrough with Tom at the end, she's like, and then I never saw him again.
Right.
And then it was like, your heart breaks.
Yes.
Right? Yes. But then I have these conversations with I have a group of girlfriends who are my like B'Elanna and Paris friends. Hi, friends. They know who they are. And what was I saying? Oh, shoot, I lost my train of thought.
Your father left and never came back.
Never saw him.
Yes. Thank you, Sabrina. So we were like, this is obviously more of us being cerebral, right? Because we like to delve into these kinds of questions. But where would, she needed to have, I wish she would have had stronger adults in her life to reiterate, you know, that she was worth it, you know, and not just develop this self-hate. And that's kind of where I wish it, because I will go a little bit into some of my personal history here, but I attribute the fact that I had so many of my my adult family members, you know, emotionally supporting me throughout my childhood, that I never got into that point where I blamed myself for the actions of other adults.
Mm-hmm. But you blamed yourself for the actions of other adults. Wow. And
you know
kids
I mean?
do that. Kids do that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we do it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Balana did it.
Like kids with their parents, like just like Balana, like situation, but parents getting divorced.
Yeah.
You know, and the kids think it's their fault that you know.
If I was better, if I ate my dinner, if I didn't do this, you would have stayed. If I wasn't Klingon.
You know, if you growing up in an alcoholic household, you know, like if I don't do this, maybe this won't happen. If I do this, maybe this won't happen. So that, kids take on an awful lot of responsibility.
The sponges, they are sponges, and they take on that. And as a little girl, her character took it on, because when she looked at Tom and said, "I never saw him again," my heart was breaking. You know, because I can relate, you know. So
yeah, but then that also, like that moment, it ties in so nicely, like you know, into her character arc. Like they did it. I don't know. They did it so nicely. I really don't know if that was intentional or not. But it explains. It has to be, right, because it fits so nicely. It explains so much of why she is the way she is.
Right.
Right. And if you don't get that, then I can't help you.
I mean, but unfortunately, we had to wait, like 7 seasons in order to get that, you know?
Why she has a chip on her shoulder.
But thank God we got it, because it totally rounded out her character.
Yep.
You know, it made, like you said, it made so much sense. You know, Yvette, do you have any thoughts about about lineages that we haven't hit? Because I remember in another show, this show came up, or off mic conversation, this show came up, and we had the SyFy Sistas. We had a lot of things to say about this episode.
We always have a lot to say.
I know, right?
No, I think you guys hit on it. I mean, all of the basics. We all have that point in our lives where we question, you know, our lineage, and how it fits into the majority, and how we want to, you know, kind of not play on that. So I think you guys hit all of those buttons.
Okay.
Oh, what I liked about the episode was this is the one where I thought Tom really came through, because he was a rock in this one.
Yes.
And I was always sort of like, I can't see Balana and Tom. I was always sort of like, Balana and Tom, I mean, they were kind of cute, whatever. But this one, you won me over.
We can have another episode on why I think Tom and Balana are perfect. And I will win you over.
and the two actors had chemistry. They
really did.
Had chemistry.
Yeah. I think.
What else?
Yeah, no, Tom really did. He was a whole grown-up Tom in this episode. He did some real manning, you know, like real manning in this episode. Like he wasn't, you know, he was comforting. He did not denigrate her. He didn't scoff. You know, eventually he didn't scoff. He was just always maintained his concern for her. You know, one of my favorite lines was, you know, they're walking down the hallway and he's like, "How are you this morning?" She's like, "Da da 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 da." Then is that what you mean? He's like, "No, I meant how are you this morning?"
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh, snap, love that. Okay.
Right? No. Bring her back down. Paris. I love this Tom Paris. But so I'm gonna go take it back to lineage. The other thing that you and me and Tari were talking about is when she had the holographic version of her daughter.
Right.
And then when they took off, like we were talking about the ideas of beauty.
God, because did you notice her hair?
They made her blue.
They made her blonde. Exactly. Her hair got lighter. I was like, wow, they are really hitting the nail on the head here. Like, not only is she removing the ridges, but she also made her hair lighter. And I loved how they slipped that in there. And I was like,
they did it.
Word.
Did they give her blue eyes? I can't remember.
No, I don't think they changed her eye color, but they did.
You know, Tom was blonde.
She was gonna have more
right.
Tom.
I was just ready to say that, but Tom was blonde.
Right, but
that's how they got away with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, now so that you have to realize that scene was for a lot of different people. You know, that hit a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. So
exactly.
I think the writers were awesome with that because it hit us. We saw that as, beauty has to be that, you know, and then everybody else who didn't feel that way were like, Tom is blonde, so he finally looked. This is the human side. It wouldn't take. That's exactly how he's becoming. So you're taking the ridges out, so she's becoming human. So she has to look like Tom.
She looks like
but we all know that's bullshit.
Right. We all know that was a whole coded scene, right? It was
yes,
complete BS.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it was for two different people.
Okay, I may have seen when they did that. That was my first thought, guys. I don't mean guys, but sisters. That Tom was blonde, and they had completely removed all the Klingon from this child, so the child looked just like his father.
But that didn't make sense.
Something
because B'Elanna, they were acting like B'Elanna's not half human. Like her dark hair doesn't. Her dark hair doesn't necessarily have to come from her Klingon side. Her dark hair come from her father, which, if we go by the memories, it did. Like her dad had dark hair, you know. Right. So the point being, like, why, if you're just removing the Klingon blood, her hair color should not be affected by that.
But I see it a little bit differently. I see it a bit.
My hair is recessive, so it wouldn't come out right away anyway.
It's like Yvette said, you know, like that scene works for two different sets of people.
Right.
We see it in two different ways, but I just love that episode.
Well, that's what I love.
I was gonna say, I do think that after that episode, the rest of the season, that episode is kind of like a line. It's a demarcation, right? And I feel like after that, maybe because it was towards the end and they felt like they had to wrap up some storylines. But I do feel like we see a difference in how she approaches her Klingon heritage after that episode.
Yeah. It's a bit different. Yes, it is. Yeah.
She's really exploring it now after that. Because then we have, prophecy comes up after that. And
I like that.
I think prophecy is one of the deepest ones ever. That was a generational Klingon ship that was out there. Where it was like, what?
And then
the baby is God. The baby is God. The baby is God.
Right, the baby's God. Well, I just want to say before we get to that one, like I wish that I had seen that change in character, like you were talking about, Luce, about how she was approaching her Klingon-ness after the Barge of the Dead, like in season 6, like because that was such a pivotal moment of reconciliation between her and her mother and her Klingon side and her culture. And I really, and I was really hoping that we'd see we'd see her standing proudly in that Klingon heritage, right? But it didn't. It's sort of back, like then we get in episode, in season 7, we get lineage.
I think they forgot about it.
Yeah, but
that would have been the ideal. That would have been the ideal place to put it.
I don't think they forgot about it. I think it was very realistic. I mean, you could make a breakthrough, but if that stuff is there since you were 10, 5, 10, I mean, how do you one episode is not going to break that? So
no, that's true.
I think that was very realistic that they went back to it, and it would come back up when she got pregnant and had to deal with it again. To deal with the trigger for her childhood again, and this is what maybe her daughter's going to go through, and the fact that Tom would leave her, because that was the biggest deal, is that if the baby looked Klingon, was Tom gonna leave like her father left?
Right.
So that I think that was perfect that they went back to that and didn't move past it.
You know what else I liked about that episode that was kudos for Tom, because I think it is very hard for people to have to voice their trauma, was that Tom picked it up. You know, she's telling the story, and then he said, "Oh, I'm not gonna leave you."
Yeah,
like he connected the dots without having to have her, you know, specifically say, "This is what I'm scared of," because that's very challenging for people to do. Sometimes you don't even have the, you know, it's buried so deep that you don't make those connections yourself, even though it's clearly obvious to some people. But I like that too.
Yeah, that was it. That's when he won me. That's when he got me. I was like, all right, Tom has got the hook. Tom's got it.
Seasons later, right, Sabrina?
Yep. I was just Tom Paris.
She was going through it.
Captain Proton. I was just like, what, Delana? Why are you with this boy? Come on.
Come on, don't. I love the Captain Protons. I love those episodes.
But
no, it reminded me of when Worf told what's the little Dax? I can't remember her name.
Ezri.
Yeah,
little Dax.
He plays with toys. Why would you like him? And that's the same thing as Tom. They're all a bunch of kids playing with toys.
Hashtag little Dax.
Well, yeah.
Ezri.
But we have a theory, my B'Elanna Harris friends, that B'Elanna, we don't ever see, B'Elanna's the only character that we don't see doing the Captain Proton. Because she's like, I'm not doing that.
No.
right.
B'Elanna's not doing it.
No way, no fan, no. All the fans were like, no. We can't. She ain't doing it.
Everybody went in there but B'Elanna. She's like, okay.
No,
it was better if she married the guy. She ain't going into the play.
She's like, take that mess to the holodeck.
Right. Unlike Keiko, who had all of those toys in her house.
All over the living room. Messing up her living room.
She left too, though, but okay.
Oh man, that's funny.
Man, you guys got me laughing.
One thing I do want to say is that the thing that I really did love about the relationship that she had with Chakotay, and they did it a couple of times, but they never really gave it a lot of a lot of lines or scenes, but it was there, and I loved it that they were just really tight, you know. And I know he was her superior officer, even when they were Marquis. He was the superior officer. And as we were saying earlier, that she always held people to her high standard. And if you know some beta book stuff, you know, just throw it in there. But
I'm just laughing at your Boston accent. That's all.
Oh, wow. Really? Is it coming out a lot? Is it really twanging? The Marquis.
The Marquis.
Say it loud. I'm Boston and I'm proud.
That's right.
So the Marquis. I love that. I love that they were he had her back all the time, you know, and like we were talking about Extreme Risk and all this other stuff. And I know these people have this thing where they always have like fan favorite things where they wanted to see them get together. But I said that would
no, that would suck so hard.
No.
Yeah, I'm glad we're all on agreement with that, because I saw him. He was like her big brother.
Right.
Oh, he had her back, man.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
Yeah, like he kind of took her under his wing when they were in the Maquis. He, you know, because I think she had to have been pretty young, because she dropped out of the academy. True. And then I think she went to the Maquis right after that. So
yeah, she was too young. She was way young.
Yeah, that's how I see it. You know, like a big brother, little sister relationship, and you see that throughout episodes in Voyager. And I'm glad that they didn't go that route.
Oh yeah, because she never talked to him like he was a superior officer. I think once or twice he had to snap her back and tell her who he was. But she always sort of came at him like, I'm gonna tell you this, I'm gonna do this, and that's Chakotay, and he would be like, listen, Lieutenant.
The first couple of episodes, she pronounced his name differently. Did y'all notice that? She called him Chakotay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm like, okay, so they changed.
Maybe she's from Boston too.
Ah. Like, so how do you say his name? How are they saying his name?
That's the Klingon pronunciation.
Right?
Maybe so, yeah.
I don't know. Might be from Copley Square. She might be from Copley.
But that was like an example in Day of Honor when Chakotay told her that Seven was going to be working with her in engineering, and she gave him a piece of her mind, and he was like, I'm not asking you.
Right.
This is what's gonna happen.
He just let her go on and like, oh wow, really?
Okay, he let her finish her whole thought.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah,
so anyway, that's what he said. So anyway, this is what's gonna happen.
Exactly. And then she had to be like, okay, yes, sir. I guess I'm working with Seven. That was an interesting relationship. The relationship
that was
Seven.
That was because it talked about like it really hit on all this female this competition between women thing, you know, and jockeying for space. And I better let Fran say something because she looked like she's about to have a seizure.
Fran is gonna have a
freak
out.
What is happening?
I was just hoping that we would get through this without bringing up Barbie Board. I just thought we would get through it
without bringing up Seven.
Yeah, but listen, I think I have the same opinion as you. I can tell.
You know, I just wanted to be about. I mean, I know, you know, homegirl is, you know, she was a whatever, but I just didn't want her to be with.
But the problem is that we can't erase her out of the history. She's there. She's there.
We don't need to erase her.
She's there,
and she came in and just overshadowed her and her.
Okay, so
and her 1,000%. All that stuff came in and just tried to, you know, just overshadow. And I wanted to get through this without focusing on her.
If this was on YouTube, you people would know that Fran was having an absolute meltdown at the mention of 7 of 9.
Of 7 of 9. Second of all, we all know
Barbie Board.
I thought there was a bee.
I thought there was a bee too.
Like, is she fighting a bee?
It was a Borg, not a bee. It was a Borg.
Barbie Borg. Don't forget Barbie Borg.
Yes.
Barbie Borg.
But I feel the same way, in the sense that I feel like it overshadowed a lot of B'Elanna, and we all know why she was introduced, right? But I always tell myself, I'm like, this doesn't make sense because B'Elanna could have done that.
No joke.
And B'Elanna could have done that, and you know, and so I kind of struggle when I think about the interactions between the two of them. Mm-hmm. And on one hand, I'm kind of happy that there aren't that many.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not that many because Seven was always with Janeway or doing something else, which I also
had to put her ass in isometric. They give her another room.
Right.
Because B'Elanna's going to kill her.
B'Elanna's going to tear her throat out.
Yeah, whatever the hell. Like in the warp room.
That one, astrometrics. Yeah, what you said.
Yeah, you know what scene I love? You know what scene I love? The interaction between the two of them that I love and is my favorite, and I'm so happy that it's in there, is when Seven is trying to observe Tom and B'Elanna's relationship because she wants to know more. And Seven goes, B'Elanna's like, how do you know when we're having intimate relations? And then 7 of 9 says, there's no one on section 9, deck 12, that does not know when you're having intimate relations. And then B'Elanna's like, I'm about to break your nose. I think she does say something like that. She's like, Klingon breaks nose. Break your nose. And I was like, yay, I'm so happy they put that there. But,
coming up in my book again. My boy can hang.
That was something. That was really something.
Well, I'm gonna because I know we're coming into the home stretch here for this episode on our dearly beloved B'Elanna. So I'm gonna ask you if you were going to introduce B'Elanna to somebody who didn't know B'Elanna, didn't know this character, which episode would you recommend for a newbie? And Luce, I'm going to hold you to the end. Okay. I'm going to start because I know you have opinions on this. Sabrina?
Oh, well, after we've gone to astrometrics, I think my favorite. What room is that? I don't know what room that is. Definitely. Anyway, forget it. Don't write to the SyFy Sistas about that, please. I was corrected. But my favorite one is actually now, and that is only really recently, is Barge of the Dead. Only because it touches on so much B'Elanna stuff. It talks about her mother, which I know we're all talking about her father being the one that sent her off and made her so insecure and all this, his leaving. But it's really her mother. They just were like, okay, we have to look at this relationship. She didn't speak to her mother for 10 years. And then, this whole thing. Plus, she was rocking that Klingon uniform.
She was.
Come
girl.
on now.
Yes, she was.
Did they do a little, snip here and tuck there to make that thing look like she looked better in that thing than anybody else ever. Lursa Bator, no. B'Elanna Torres. She didn't even have the whole cutout, nothing. She didn't even need that mess. She was fierce in that thing. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's my favorite one. I love it.
No boob window.
Lana.
Well, your turn, Yvette.
Juggernaut.
I love that one.
That's just, she just science the hell out of that whole episode. I'm all for that. That's when I think of B'Elanna, that's what I think of. So that one.
Fran, you got one?
I think when she got the job of chief engineer, I don't know the name of it. I think it was third episode or second.
Parallax.
Thank you. When she actually got the job of chief engineer because she was the smartest. She was the most fierce. And I really like that. And I think that defined her character from then on. Mm-hmm. For the most part, as far as Voyager, her place on Voyager was noted. I like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Prototype because I love that episode so much, and as Yvette said, she scienced the hell out of that episode, but then you also get to see her really like struggle, finesse her way out of that situation. Like it just has all her best character traits on display, which I love, and the fact that episode was really like, that was a acting tour de force for Roxanne Dawson. Like that episode rested on her shoulders and she just carried the whole thing. Yeah. So Luce, what you got?
That's hard.
Did we take all of them?
Yeah, we took them all.
No, but
no, there are more.
There are a lot more. No, I would say, if I'm just going with my instinct, whatever comes to my brain first, because I usually trust that. Whatever just comes out to my brain, I usually trust. I would say I'm honestly stuck between two episodes. Dreadnought, because I feel like it's our first introduction to how well, not our first, because we see it before, but it's an example of how smart she is, how determined she is, and how loyal she is. The other episode that I really wanted to show, I think Faces. Does not get as much credit as it should.
Yeah,
people really.
I agree.
People don't like that episode as much, or I don't know. That's not the right word, but it doesn't get as much credit. And I think that that's a very good introduction to her inner conflict.
Yeah.
So I would say watch those two if you want to intro to B'Elanna.
And of course, there's always this podcast that'll give you a really good intro to B'Elanna.
And the fact that I said the wrong episode and no one corrected me. You guys,
you said Juggernaut.
I said Juggernaut.
Oh yeah,
that is amazing too. But
what the hell is Juggernaut?
Juggernaut is the one. Listen, Juggernaut is the one where they're like it's like in the 5th or 6th episode where they have that alien where they do the waste and they collect their waste and they throw it out in other people's backyards.
Yeah, that's not the one I was talking about.
No, but she's so kick-ass in that episode, Yvette. Because she has to go and they send her in the shit and she has to confront the guy because she's like, why aren't you taking responsibility for your stuff and you're just throwing it in other people's stuff? And then she attacks that zombie guy with the radiation. Yeah. The Malons, that's the guy. She attacks the guy who had radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
She's like,
that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one, but that's not the one I was talking about.
You meant Dreadnought, right?
I meant Dreadnought.
Oh, okay.
I think I think I saw Juggernaut this morning. Maybe that's why I said it, because I saw it.
That's an awesome episode too. Not to mention Roxanne again looks really awesome in her tank top with like grease all over her.
I know, right?
Yeah. I love those tank tops.
I know, right? So I want to thank Luz for coming on and talking Balana with us. This has been so much fun. And we're really ecstatic that you're here. Do you have, is there any socials where you want people to, if they want to talk Trek with you?
Yeah. So you guys, I'm on Twitter. I'll say it. It's Luz X-Ray MD. L-U-D as in zebra, X-R-A-Y, M as in Mary, and D as in dog.
Awesome. Because you're the doctor with the mostest.
Thank you. I'm so happy we connected and we made it happen. Yay.
I know. Yay.
And I'm sorry, Fran, for my error.
What? Are we talking about Bobby Boy?
No, we're not.
No, we weren't.
No, we didn't. Because I didn't say that.
No, sure did.
On another podcast, we could talk about it.
And so, hey, Yvette, if people want to let us know which one is their favorite Balana episode, where would they do that?
You can find us at SyFySistas.com. That's SyFySistas.com. Join us on the mothership. That's MUTHASHIP. And the SyFy Sistas Book Club, both on Facebook. Download the Trek Geeks Network app, where you can find us and our family of podcasts on the Trek Geeks Network. On Instagram, SyFy.Sistas, and we're also on the Twitter at SyFy Sistas. After listening to this podcast, please rate us and write a review. We may just read it on an upcoming episode.
Thank you. And I just got to give a push and a shout out for that Trek Geeks app. It is so wonderful. All the other Trek Geeks Network shows are on there as well as ours. And you get exclusive content on there. So download the app, have fun with that. Come visit us on the mothership, hang out with us. And till next time, folks, it's been a real blast. Thank you, everybody. Oh, wait, no, I can't go yet. I have important business that I need to take care of. We need to let you listeners know that we have the one, the only, Dose the Anonymous. He is the... He is the baddest engineer in the universe, and he's responsible for all the great music that you hear, as well as being an amazing engineer. So if you need services, either music production or engineer services, check out Dose the Anonymous at dosetheanonymous1@gmail.com. That's DOSTHEANONYMOUS, the number 1@gmail.com. And thanks everybody for listening. We can't wait to see you next time. We're out of here. Bye.
Bye.
Peace, love, and hair grease. Peace, love, and hair grease.